Welcome to Spiritual Foundations for Life. Let me share with you a short story. There was a newly adopted child, and he found himself in this big mansion. His new father said, "This is your home, and you have a right to be here because I've adopted you. I've made you to be a joint heir along with my only begotten son, and he paid the price that set you free from your old taskmaster who was cruel and condemning. And I purchased freedom for you because I love you." The young boy couldn't help but question this incredible gift. This just seems too good to be true, he thought. Like, what did I do to deserve this anyway? I've been a slave my whole life, and I've done nothing to earn such a privilege. He was deeply grateful, however, and soon began to explore all the rooms in the mansion. He formed new relationships with his adopted brothers and sisters, and especially enjoying the buffet table that he was allowed to eat at freely. Then suddenly it happened. As he was turning away from the buffet table one day, he knocked over a valuable pitcher, which crashed to the floor and it broke. "You clumsy, stupid kid," he thought to himself. "You will never get away from this. You will never get, yeah, you'll, you're in big trouble. What right do you have to be here anyway? You'd better hide before someone finds out because they'll just throw you out for sure." He was filled with guilt and shame, and he thought to himself, "Who do you think you are? What, some kind of privileged person? The old taskmaster was right about me. I don't belong here. I belong in the basement." And so he descended down into the cellar underneath the mansion. The basement was dreary and dark and despairing. The only light came from the open door at the top of the long stairs from where he just come. He heard his adopted father calling out for him, but he was too ashamed to answer his father's call. Then as he looked around, he was surprised to discover that there were others in the basement as well. Upstairs, everyone talked to each other, they laughed together, and they joined together with the daily projects that were fun and meaningful, but no one in the basement talked to each other. They were too ashamed, and most felt that the cellar was where they really belonged anyway. Old friends would occasionally come to the door and encourage him to come back upstairs, but most of the people in the basement just stayed in the basement. And not everyone was staying in the basement for the same reason. Some thought, "Well, I deserve to be here. I was given a chance, but I blew it." Others had a number of reasons why they couldn't return to their father upstairs. Some were afraid that they wouldn't be accepted by their father if they went back upstairs. Some were afraid that the offer of adoption had been canceled. Some were afraid there was nothing they could do to make up for their failure and restore them to their father's favor. The boy stayed in the basement, and the memory of what it was like to live upstairs began to fade. And so did this hope of ever returning to his father and to his adopted family. And he started to question the love of his new father, and eventually he even began to question whether he'd been adopted into that family in the first place. But the noise of the people upstairs having fun started to irritate him. And the light upstairs that had at one time been warm and inviting, now it was penetrating and revealing his own sense of unworthiness. But then one day, a beam of light penetrated his mind from the upstairs, and his sense returned to him. And he began to think, why not throw myself on the mercy of this person who called himself my father? What do I have to lose? Even if he makes me eat the crumbs that fall from the table, it would certainly be better than living in this dreary basement. And so the boy took the risk of climbing up those stairs and facing his father with the truth of what he'd done wrong. He was still afraid to call him father, and so he said, "Well, Lord, I knocked over some glasses and I broke a pitcher." And without saying a word, his father took him by the hand and he led him to the dining room. And to his utter amazement, his father had prepared a banquet for him. "Welcome home, my son," his father said. Romans chapter 8, verse 1 says, "There's now no condemnation to those who are in Christ Jesus." Join with me as we spend the next number of lessons looking at our new relationship with God, where there is no condemnation. God bless you. See you tomorrow for another Spiritual Foundations for Life.